Okay, hello and welcome back to our Dragon Age Inquisition, known as Ruleset playthrough. Brought to you by William Ellison, Master Losarius, and GameAnyone.com. Let's proceed. Today we shall be reading and talking a lot. A foe with perceptive trait can flush party members out of stealth. Shit. Once attached to a weapon, rules cannot be removed. No wonder. Then attach a new rune atop an old one, replace it. Well, that was stupid. Dispel and spell purge entities instantly strong demons that are in the process of spawning. The ability must be used before the demons fully materialize. Spell purge. Hello Napjab, how are you? Spell purge. I don't know, I'm thinking of playing as the rogue now. Yesterday was a truly mind-wrecking experience, to be honest. And I think... Hello Poncho, how are you? Or I believe that micromanaging the rogue is the best way to ensure my success. If for no other reason then I can go into stealth and run like a bitch. Which is something I love to do. Yeah, I believe the rogue archer is the one that offers the best chance of survival. Because you can attack from afar, you can disappear and move quickly. I need to learn to use this fucking thing. Mark of the Rift, my ass. But we are going to read first. Let me go. No, music disappears. Shit. Okay, I shouldn't have too many codexes. So let's go. Codefius now is here. Cole! His name is Cole. He's not that old, perhaps 20 years. No more. He has blonde hair that hangs in front of his eyes. He wears dirty leathers, perhaps the only clothes he owns. He was there when you found Reese in the Templar crypt, but you couldn't see him. Nobody can. And those who do forget him, just like you are right now. Remember the dream. This is the Templar chick. A letter allegedly written by former Knight Captain Evangeline de Brassard, found in the spire in the aftermath of the Mage Uprising. Yeah, I read that book. Codefius, let me tell you what I know about the Seven. Those 3 Intermagisters that said to have entered the Golden City long ago. Each was a high priest to one of the old gods. Each came to a ritual shrouded in secrecy, hiding their true name even from each other. They were competitors, you see. The old gods told them they would break into the Golden City and usurp the Maker's throne, but only one of them could sit in that throne. Each assumed a title related to a role in casting the ritual. Some texts claim that a leader, the high priest of Dumat, called Codefius. He did not rule this group, but instead conducted it, coordinating their efforts to achieve a magical feat never since replicated. They breached the Fate, walked physically in dreams, and changed our world forever. Perhaps these 7 were the first Darkspawn, cursed by the Maker, as the Chant of Light tells us. Perhaps not. One would think these magisters long dead, but there are whispers this is not so. Think, if you will, what might become of the minds of such beings, corrupted by the blood, cast down from prideful folly, simmering in resentment and darkness for over 1,000 years. Where would such men live? Who knows of them? For someone must, if whispers persist. What secrets do they yet hold, and what do we do? Should any of them return to the light? With luck, these are questions we will never have to answer. Questioning the chant by Master Vivius Agorian. Alright. So there were 7 of these guys. I was betting it was not Corypheus, but one of the others. Dorian Pabus, only child and heir presumptive to the senatorial seat of Magister Hallward Paus. Dorian comes from a prestigious line of mages, prominent in the coastal to intercity of Quirinus since the late Exalted Age. At the time, the Imperium was recovering from a failed Exalted March and the Fourth Blight. Gideon Pavus arose as a voice of reason within the magisterium. His block of allies convinced the Imperium not to descend upon the weakened South, to extend a hand of reconciliation to those who had once sought their destruction. Fucking idiots. Those that House Paus remained standing even after Magister Gideon was tried for treason, of course, is a testament to the power he built, and as Dorian himself would claim, an excellent example of how to internecine politics in theater can bring low even the brightest star. A lesson, he says, one should never forget. Alright. The hero of Ferelden belonged to the Circle of Magi, residing in the tower at Lake Caldenhad for most of his life. First Enchanter Erving recommended the hero to the Grey Warden Commander Duncan. Shortly after the hero's harrowing, Duncan recruited him into the Order. After defeating the Archdemon and ending the Fifth Blight, the hero took up the mantle of Warden Commander. He began the task of rebuilding the Order in Ferelden, serving with honor until his disappearance several years ago. His current whereabouts are unknown. Magister Gerion Alexius, the guy I killed, isn't it? Lords and ladies of the Magisterium, before we vote on the budget for the latest measure against the Cunari, I would ask that we take a moment to consider the state of our institutions of higher learning. The Circle of Minrathos is more than 10,000 years old. Darinius the Dreamer himself was born within those walls. It continues to be a source of wisdom and guidance for the best and brightest of the Imperium's youth, yet it falls into disrepair. Magister Ara Aurarius has made her case several times for the increased funding to the circles, and as yet her appeals have gone unanswered. Magister Byron has spoken at length on the threat of the Oxmen in the north, a tide of brutality that would we alone hold back. Let me add to this, how shall we effect the Unity? How have we held back their advance in all these long years without the support from the other nations of Theides? You know the answer. Magic. It is our magic that holds the beasts at bay, and through the ingenuity of our magic we will drive them from our shores forever. My friends and colleagues, this is the battle we prepare our apprentices, sons and daughters to face. They need the resources to discover new magic, new techniques that can lend us an advantage in this endless war. They cannot do this while roofs crumble over their heads. Repair the circles. Let the Imperium's future be more than a slow decline to the marching steps of legions. Alright. That guy has my sympathy. Hello, Nijinsky. How are you? Queen Anora MacTeer, previously wife to King Kaelan, descendant of Calenhad and last of the Thayrin bloodline to rule Ferelden, Queen Anora came into her own during the Fifth Blight. With the throne left vacant following her husband's death, she was confirmed as sole ruler with the support of the hero Ferelden, and this confirmation allowed her to rally her nation behind the Grey Wardens and the battle that ultimately ended the war with the Darkspawn before it truly began. Since that time, concerns linger that Queen Anora has still not produced a heir. Concerns that she has thus far successfully dismissed. People believe her rule wise and well reasoned, and they fully supported her decision to give the Realm Mage a safe harbor in Redcliffe, following an impassioned speech she delivered in Denrim 6 months ago, when the Realm Mages took over both the town and the castle, forcing Adaltigan to flee for the capital. Her support among the nobility dwindled rapidly. What this will mean for her rule in the coming years, particularly with the renewed interest from the neighbor Orle, remains to be seen. Aha! So the nobility is turning against Queen Anora. And Arltivag is to blame. That guy could become king. He is from the Terran bloodline, isn't he? Fucking Tivag. We need to make sure he gets killed along with Anora. So we can take over Ferelden. Sarah. I'm sure I already read this. Let's see if I remember that. Reading that as well. Okay, addendum. I think I haven't read this. On red genie caches in populated areas, it bewilders how such things go unnoticed, but perhaps that is the power of the practiced servant. They are keenly aware of what escapes the preoccupied eye. Sarah, of course, can spy them instantly. She seems an extreme version of a very narrow definition of perceptive. I have pressed for a schedule or even some hint of procedure, but she is content to rely on the unknown. It may seem exciting, but I find it ever so frustrating if I were searching. Okay, it's just red, right? But she'll see it if it was on a hot out of season. Okay, let's move. Now I have damage against beasts increased. Okay. Does that mean I do more damage to humans? They are monkeys. Overgrown fucking monkeys. Horrors! Presley, whatever you do, don't get too close to one of those red Templars with giant lumps on their back. They can spit lyrium, yeah, I noticed. You can actually see it growing before they fling it at you from their palms. One hit Henley in the face. You would have a mass of scars if I hadn't been out there to heal the wounds as we plucked the stuff out. We started to beat it down with some spells and the air went sour. I felt sick, like you do when you are around too much raw lyrium. Lyra almost passed out. I grabbed her and ran. With luck, the thing found better prey than us. I never loved the Templars, but seeing them mutilated with lyrium doesn't give me any cheer. I don't understand why they would inflict this on themselves. Power! Simple. You want to destroy mages, which have unlimited reserves of rope. What could it be? I don't know. Yeah, unlimited mana pools from the netherworlds. You need something similar. And red lyrium will definitely allow that to happen. To become a superhuman yourself. Red Templar archers, they came. Red lyrium isn't the weak stuff they fed you all your life. The song is deeper. It's got a will of its own. Tame it, and it will do things the chanting structures never dreamed of. Listen, focus on the arrow in your hand. Pour power into it when it leaves the bow. That strength can fly across the battlefield and punch a hole through the thickest armor. Soon, you won't need to stop to hear it. Practice, and the song will always be in your blood and fire. Red Templar Archer strengthening new recruits started to take red lyrium, so they actually fit it to them. Red Templar Foot Soldier. Do you remember when I was tracking some mages hiding in the mountains? I found those Red Templar heretics attacking them. The Templars turned on me as well. The soldiers looked like normal men and women, but they rained down blows so hard it numbed my arm through my shield. It took 3 minutes to kill just one, and he only stopped when I cut off his head. That's when I saw their leader, a huge, misshapen knight. She made a gesture, and a streak of light streamed from him into one of the soldiers. Red lyrium burst through the soldier's back. He changed into some kind of thing that made all mages sick. I still don't know how he survived. These mages are children and frightened scholars, hiding from the war after their circles fell. Still, if one of them wasn't a healer, I would have lost my sword arm. A letter from a Templar knight who left the order to her husband. Hmm. So you have Red Templars and Rogue Templars running around. Great. Cheers! When I saw Templars marching up the road, my heart was glad. I asked if they've come to stop the real mages who burned down the farms, but one growled it was none of our business. That was when I noticed his eyes were red. Not like he'd had a long night at the inn, but really, truly red. Bernie announced these were the man's lands, and it was his business who was in them. The Templar bastard got him down without a word. A dozen of us against three of them, and we never got a strike past their shields. They are stronger than any man I've known. The Templars swung full tower shields of metal like it weighed nothing. We had to run. Tell the man to seal the castle gates against any visiting Templars. A letter from a guardsman employed by Van Harkwold. Okay. Red Templar Knight. At first, it was only suspicious. Some of my brothers and sisters were acting strangely, spending time in the company of those who, only days earlier, we hadn't even given a passing glance. I would enter a room, and they would all be sitting together, talking in hushed whispers, and then they would stop altogether. I felt my instruction keenly and withdrew, wondering how it was that I was not included in this group. Was there a dissension in the Templar ranks? Were they speaking of rebellion against the speakers of truth? I could not fathom it, so I kept my peace. Then I saw the lyrium vials Sir Randall kept in his gear. It was accidental, as we had them wrapped in dark cloth and immediately covered them when I entered his quarters. But I did. They were red, not blue. Again, I held my tongue. Now, I wish I had not. More and more of my fellow Templars stop talking when I walk into their rooms. There is little talk of continuing our hunt for the real mages. There is little talk of anything at all. I see the red vials. They were openly around their necks, no longer hidden. They are stronger than the rest of us, and it suddenly seems as if proper blue lyrium has become rare. Shortages, they tell me. I saw Sir Randall this morning, and his eyes were red. For the first time, I am wondering if I should abandon my post and flee the Order for good. From the Journal of Sir Caitlin of the Order of the Templars, 941 Dragon. Red Templars are exactly what they sound like. They are Templars who have been fed red lyrium, and their results are precisely what happened to Meredith in Kirkwall. It improves their powers, grants new ones, and increases their strength beyond what a human body should bear. Over time, red lyrium will turn them into beasts. Crystals will grow inside their bodies, even, I am told, sprouting through their heads. In the end, Red Templars will be lost, mind and soul, to roaring madness. Did the chantry push our Templars too far, or was this break inevitable? Maker help us. I pray it was not us who drove our good knights into becoming monsters. More Celeris of the Grand Cathedral in a letter to a friend. You know what this reminds me of? Tiberium in the Command and Conquer series. Red lyrium seems like Tiberium. Very much so. It consumes everything living, but it's a source of great power and energy. Maybe I got the idea from them. Who knows? The Winter Society. Those outside the Winter Imperium. To those outside of the Winter Imperium, it is easy to imagine a society filled with mages and elven slaves with little else. In truth, there are three different winters, each of them a world completely separated from the others. There are the mages, the land's nobility, completely obsessed with competing for supremacy with each other, almost to the exclusion of paying any heed to the nation's enemies, such as the Cunari. The well-bred Altus sneer at Latents, who in turn sneer at the Praetari. They vie for dominance in the magisterium, where faction shifts and flow on a daily basis with deadly consequences, requiring every family to put on a veneer of perfect citizenship or face scandal and censure. Then there are the so-called Sopotari, the Sleepers. These are the non-magical citizens who vastly outnumber the mages, yet are beholden to their whims. Many are resentful of this status, plotting in secret, even as they secretly hope their children will possess magical talent, an enticing lure, since the talent could conceivably show up in anyone, even a slave. It would be easy to forget that the Winter possesses a massive class of publicans, the civil servants and leaders of the legionnaires. It has an enormous merchant class, enough teemingly poor to drown any other nation in Theidas, and the shabby thieves called the Presumptor, who are practically treated with respect. And then there are the slaves. One would think they at least see each other as equals, but it is not so. They divide between the freed liberati, those who act as personal servants to magister, those who work on farms and factories, and the servus publicus, who do all the tasks proper citizens will not. It's all but unsurmountable, but perhaps in an emulation of those who own them. Imperial slaves will connive and scheme to try anyhow. Outsiders might see it as futile, but to the winter citizens, their nation's social classes are the most mutable and rewarding of merit in all of Theidas. Merit, I wouldn't say merit. Because you don't get into a class by merit. What is your position in your social class obviously is, or apparently it is achieved by merit. But you cannot be of the upper class if you're not a mage or a scion of a mage family. So that cannot be merit. And that reminds me of a Spartan society. You have the Spartiates, the what was it? I don't remember. You have the slaves, obviously, the Spartiates and the merchants. I don't remember their name. What was it? I will remember eventually. The castless dwarves of Forsamer have few prospects, consigned to live in a crumbling ruin on the social and economic fringes of the mighty dwarven capital, most resorts to begging, prostitution, or crime. Just as all rivers eventually join the sea, all castlets who turn to crime eventually become part of the Carta. The hero Ferelden decimated the ranks of this ancient gang, while rallying the dwarves to join the battle against the archdemon Urdemiel. Unable to recover the power they once had in Orzammar, they turned their attention topside, using groups of surface-dwelling dwarves to smuggle weapons, lyrium, surface luxuries, people, and other goods between Orzammar and human lands. Despite the flow of business, its members are still desperate and violent. With no strong leader to rein in their excesses, they have little sense of dwarven honor, and freely break their word, all cross allies, and renege on deals. Yeah, Poncho, I agree. I would have to look it up. Uh, I don't know. For some reason Pericles' name is in my head, but I know it's not that. That was an what? A leader of Athens. Ah, Doc. That could be it. Nuclear power uranium. Like radiation, yeah. Yeah, I agree. That could also work. Have you ever played Command and Conquer? The Imperial Chantry. There are those who would tell you that the Chantry is the same everywhere as it is here, that the divine in Balroyo reigns supreme in the eyes of the Maker, and that this fact is unquestioned throughout Thedas. Do not believe it. The Maker's second commandment, magic must serve man, not rule over him, never held the same meaning within the ancient Inter Imperium as it did elsewhere. The chantry there interpreted the rule as meaning that mages should never control the minds of other men, and that otherwise their magic should benefit the rulers of men as much as possible. When the clerics of the winter altered the chant of light to reflect this interpretation of the commandment, the divine in Balroyo ordered the clerics to revert to the original chant. They refused, claiming corruption within Balroyo, an argument that grew until in 487 Towers the chantry and the winter elected its own legitimate and uncorrupted divine Balhail, who was not only male but also happened to be one of the most prominent members of the Winter Circle of Magi. This black divine was reviled outside the winter, his existence an offense to the chantry in Balroyo. After four exalted marches to dislodge these rebels, all the chantry in Balroyo accomplished was to cement the separation. While most aspects of the imperial chantry teachings are the same, prohibitions against magic have been weakened and male priests have become more prevalent. The Circle of Magi today rules the winter directly. Ever since Archon Nomaran was elected in 734 Storm from the ranks of the enchanters, to great applause from the public. He dispense with the old roots forbidding mages from taking part in politics, and within an age, the true rulers within the various imperial houses, the mages, took their places openly within government. The Imperial Divine is now always drawn from the ranks of the first enchanters and operates as Divine and Grand Enchanter both. So the Archon is the Imperial Divine. This is utter heresy to any member of the chantry outside the winter, a return to the days of the Magisters, which brought the lights down upon us. But it exists, and even though we have left the Winter Imperium to the mercies of the dread Cunari, still they have endured. Further confrontation with the Black Divine, the so-called White Divine, is inevitable. The Periokoi, that's it. Thank you very much, Ponzo. You played it. All right. The Helots, that's it. The Helots and the Periokoi. Thank you very much, Poncho. You saved me googling it myself. Yeah, I think it works both as Tiberium or some sort of irradiating mineral, uranium, radium, whatever. The Magisterium. There is the mistaken impression outside the winter that a magister is simply a mage, and that the mere act of being a mage is all that is required to be among the ruling class. Well, I just said that, holy shit. A misinterpretation aided no doubt by some, the winter mages claiming the title outside their homeland to take advantage of their reputation. In truth, being a magister requires one to hold a seat in the magisterium, the upper house of the imperial senate. This body that makes laws and which chooses the new archon if there is no approved heir. The Senate lower house, the Publicanum, consists of elected officials, but it has no true power and is considered a bureaucratic body. But this is different. This is not, well, I would argue. You have the ruling class, or the upper class, and then you have the political elite. To be a member of the political elite, you need to be a magister in the Senate. But to be part of the ruling class, you only need to be a mage. I would make that distinction here. Alright. Magisters meanwhile come from the ranks of the Circle of Magi and the Imperial Chantry, but most hold their seats by virtue of an Archon having granted it to their family long ago. It is not technically required for a magister to be a mage. Indeed, after the transfiguration that saw the old gods abandoned and Andrestianism embraced, most were not. Since the Tower's age, however, non-mages in the magisterium have slowly been weeded out. A true magister is thus a figure of real power in the winter. All other mages serve at their pleasure, and any mage now of proper lineage has no influence outside that which personal wealth and talent provide. Yeah, I don't know if we can truly believe what she's telling. Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar, who knows if she's actually telling the truth. The Venetori. I know what you've been telling the others. You mouth the word cult and repeat lies that Chantry has been spewing at us for 1,000 years. Look around you, my friend. See what the mighty Tevinter is today. A once proud nation brought low, barely able to hold itself against the Oxmen. We neutered out mages at the behest of a foreign religion, exalted their false maker, and became the laughing stock of all Thedas. Now we have the chance to reclaim what is rightfully ours. But only if we act. We cannot wait to see which way the wind is blowing. We must make it blow. The Venitari are hunters, recruited in secret over several years. We will descend upon that with deadly purpose to spill the blood of the South and make it ripe for conquest. When we return to our homeland, it will be as victors, and with a new god as our patron. Then the cowards who refuse to aid us will know their mistake in full. Reported assailants to the Viratium Circle of Magi, 940 Dragon. Alright. The Periokoi, that's why Pericles was in my mind. I'm guessing. Okay. Only one, not two. In your heart shall burn. Then the Maker said, to you, my second born, I shall grant this gift. In your heart shall burn an unquenchable flame, all consuming and never satisfied. From the fate I crafted you, and to the fate you shall return each night in dreams, that you may always remember me. In passages of 1 through 6, his first children wanted for nothing, freed from need, they could only praise, but it was hollow without cost. We, and all that is physical, were created in mutual, and our works would require a struggle. A wonder created of wood and stone proves more intent than any wish in the faith. Here, in the gentlest verses of the chant, we see how great his gift and how stern his punishment. To inspire, he gave us dreams, such that we would strive to make this limited world reflect his glory. Some look upon that nightly memory and feel only desire, as though owned his splendor. We, the second children, were meant to master the wants and wanes of emotion and childish pursuits, to honor at a distance and move even ever forward. We failed in this, and the weakest of us did act as petulant infants, clawing back into his sight, because we could not master our desire, because we acted on pitiful instincts, because we dared to look upon our Maker to fulfill our need and not his. He is lost to us. But he is merciful while stern, and we remember what we have lost. His second children can learn, grow, and change. If we cannot, then we are no better and no worse than his first children. Okay. In hushed whispers. Those who had been cast down, the demons who would be gods, began to whisper to men from their tombs within earth, and then men of the winter heard and raised altars to the pretender gods once more, and in return were given in hushed whispers the secrets of darkest magic. Demons who would be gods. That's interesting. The fifth stanza of Therenonis is a complete retelling of the creation story appearing in stanza 1. The authors are clearly different, with notable disagreements on the nature of spirits and the ultimate cause of the second sin. This stanza lays the blame for mankind's corruption squarely on the old gods, rather than on a flaw inherent to human nature. Therefore, historians believe that the winter author, perhaps even Archon Hesarium himself, wrote it. In the 11th verse, we see this illustrated most clearly. The demons who would be gods can be no one but the old gods that are created here not only with broaching the golden city, but with gifting the secrets of magic to humankind. The implication is that without this instruction, these hushed whispers, no magic would exist. Holy shit, then the Templars would be right. Magic would be a gift from demons, not the maker. Maybe this is the verse the Templars are using to justify their their actions. If magic comes from every magic, all sorts of magic come from demons, even those that seem benign, then you just kill demon, kill the magic users, for they are wielding the power of evil. Alright, a skull set upon a staff, these macabre artifacts cause magical shards in the air to glow with magical radiance when a viewer looks through the eyes of a skull. Alexius was quite clear in his orders: we must scour the countryside to find more shards. Without them, the Venatori cannot claim the treasure our master seeks. For that, we need the Oculara. Without them, the shards are nearly impossible to find, even if they are no longer cloaked by whatever magic hit them all these centuries. There must be more tranquil in the area. The rebels abandoned most of them when they fled their circles. Remember, the skull will only attune properly if the tranquil is in close proximity to one of the shards when the demon is forced to possess him. Even then, the blow must be cleared immediately. The Oculara produced from tranquil killed even minutes later failed to illuminate the shards when used. I trust you to continue your efforts in this matter. Our master expects success. A letter found in an abandoned house in Redcliffe. Ah, tranquils. Who cares about tranquils? On Skyhold. A page from an enchanter's journal soaked to near illegibility. The style is an old Ferendal dialect, circa mid to late Divine Age. Well, that's really old. Experiments in ambient lingerings, first staging. The question isn't it is special, the question is how special. We found relics, but there are always relics. Elves ranged far before the Empire was crushed, but rarely did return where they did not build. This place they visited again and again. I see it in the fragments, clothes from different nations, not just craftsmen, style from different centuries, not just clans, and yet no record of a ruin. The structures here are all Ferelden, with stone ferried up by typical madmen. Whatever was here, whatever natural spire, it was flattened for a floor. Now I know the common shapes, and I will erect them as was custom, and we shall see what the elves wish to see. Note below in a different uneducated hand. I finished this for Master Ganot. His workings brought lightning, much lightning. The rods are pools of metal now, as is all his workings burn. Master was also struck. I write for him his last words because his fingers are ash and he did not live to tell them. The veil is old here. What the hell does that mean? Yeah, a gift from evil, Poncho. But then you have. I'm sure the mages would say exactly what the sister argued, that was written by a recalcitrant Hesarian that renounced all magic because he was trying to make up for killing Andraste or ordering her death. So I'm sure mages would say that that was not what really happened. That's an interpretation, a false interpretation of the chant. All right. Redcliffe. King Caelan Thayrin was famously declared, the fate of Ferelden is the fate of... Well, the fate of Redcliffe is the fate of all Ferelden. Certainly, the castle is the first and last defense for the sole land route into Ferelden, and the country was never fallen to any force that did not take first Redcliffe. The castle, which despite being 3 times captured is popularly described as unassailable, also guards one of the largest and most prosperous towns in Ferelden. Redcliffe village is well situated near the mountain pass to Orzammar and the Orlesian border, and so serves as the center of foreign trade. For these reasons, Redcliffe is accounted as an Arling despite the smallness of the domain. The inhabitants of Redcliffe village are primarily fishermen or merchants who ship dwarven goods through the pass from Orlais to Denerim. When the entire village smells of smoked fish on a certain date, autumn mornings, the merchants in their finery do their utmost to pretend otherwise. Trials of Brother Gingivitis. It is an interesting thought, and I'm sure Laws will seize on it to support the Templars if he reads it before that happens. The events of the Ferelden Civil War left Redcliffe in tatters. Its reconstruction has been slow, but the city has made a remarkable recovery after its ordeal at the hands of young Lord Connor. What? What? Connor is the leader? Holy shit, the demon is ruling Redcliffe. No wonder. No, but this doesn't make any sense. Isn't Tegan the Jarl? What is going on? Okay, let's continue. After the Battle of Denerim, Arl Imon gave the Arling to his youngest brother in order to devote his full attention to advising the throne. He left the new Arl Tegan with the monumental task of rebuilding the town and perhaps even greater challenge of dealing with the influx of mages into the area following the breakup of the circles. I don't understand. How can be Connor, Lord, and Tegan Arl? Isn't that mutually exclusive? This doesn't make any sense, to be honest. Unless Connor is the mayor of the city, or of the town, and Tegan is the Earl of the castle. It's a tiny, tiny town. Could Tegan be really so lazy? Well, yeah, he could, to be honest. Rice! Find me, still searching for someone to lead me. Can you guide me to the revolt inside me? Promise surviving the breach. Promise surviving the breach in the sky. Templar igniting fire inside. Maker remind me, gone are the days of our peace. Now we reside in the great divide. Now promise surviving the breach in the sky. Alright. Sarah was never. This is that song. Sarah was never quite an agreeable girl. Her tongue tells tales of rebellion, but she was so fast and quick with her bow, no one quite knew where she came from. Sarah was never quite the quietest girl. Her attacks are loud and they are joyful, but she knew the ways of nobler men, and she knew how to enrage them. While she would always like to say, why change the past when you can own this day? Today she will fight to keep her away. She's a rogue and a thief, and she'll tempt your fate. Sarah was never quite the wealthiest girl. Some say she lives in a tavern, but she was so sharp and quick with the bow, arrows strike like a dragon. Sarah was never quite the gentlest girl. Her eyes were sharp like razor, but she knew the ways of commoner men, and she knew how to use them in bed. As performed by Bart Myrithin of Hallowell. Okay. uh, Alright, Gigap, let me see what you're telling me. The son of the Earl might be referred to as Lord by the peasantry, even though he's not the Earl. No, I am not claiming that Connor is the Earl, but they said that the city was recording under the guidance or something like that of Connor. Yeah, I think it was that song, Poncho. In the Turning Haven. Thank you very much, O'Neill. I just need a guitar. And a hat, and I will be rich. Asking for donations in the street one time. So, what strikes me as odd, Gigap, is that while Tegan is the Earl, all the success of the recovery is not attributed to him, but rather to Connor. But Connor, what what job does Connor have? That's my question. If he's not Earl, then what is he, other than a possessed man-child? Alright, we're done with reading. We can move on to talking. Isn't that awesome?